listen.
It's for charity.
I understand.
Yeah, but
I understand, but it's still ugly.
Chris's point is the charity doesn't get extra money because the mustache is ugly. Yeah. It could be a
remember they did the ice bucket challenge? That don't have to make me like ice water.
Okay.
Great point.
That's
Great
quite
point.
the line, the linear. All right, Chris Kenny, does Aaron Rodgers have another run left in him?
I mean, sure, because it's Aaron Rodgers. He's arguably the most skilled quarterback the game has ever seen. But, I mean, there's very little margin for error. Now, the one thing that the Packers do have in there...
There's no margin for error.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's going to take them going undefeated throughout the next 5 games in order to get into the playoffs, because you got to think the Carolina Panthers are going to get to 9 wins, and you got to think the Seattle Seahawks are going to get to 9 wins with their respective schedules. So Aaron Rodgers has got to run the table. Now, the one thing, like I said, they have in their favor is the schedule, because they're only playing against one team that's probably going to qualify for the postseason. That's the Chicago Bears on the road in Week 15. But, I mean, they should be able to get it done. The only thing that worries me about this team is the deficiencies. They haven't improved on them throughout the course of the season. Teams that typically make it to the playoffs, they get better as the season progresses.
What are their deficiencies, Chris?
Well, they have no balance on the offensive side of the ball. They can't run the ball. And then defensively, we know they used to be a bend but don't break defense. They only have 12 takeaways on the season. So, I mean, if your defense can't take the ball away and you can't stop people from moving the football, you're going to have a tough time winning week in, week out with a shootout-style score. So, I mean, I think this is a situation where the Packers are realistic about where they're at. That's why Brian Gutekunst punted on the season when he traded Clinton Dix. He didn't think that this roster was good enough to get to the postseason.
Right. He didn't think they were going on a run.
No, they're not going on a run. So, I mean, when you look at where the Packers are, I'm skeptical to say that Aaron Rodgers can get it done and get this team to the postseason.
Listen, 2 weeks from today, they'll be 6-6-1 heading into Chicago, and we'll be talking about, hey, are the Packers going to run the table? Are they well positioned? And then they almost assuredly will go to Chicago.
Why do you think they'll be 6-6-1?
Because they play Arizona and Atlanta in Green Bay the next 2 weeks, and I think they'll win. Arizona is a very bad football team right now, and Atlanta's season has gotten away from them, and it's going to be real cold.
Just your weather report. It's 25 degrees in Green Bay right now. It's supposed to be 25 at kickoff this weekend. Josh Rosen, I guarantee you, he's never played in the 20s. So when Nick's saying he's going to give them in Atlanta, we have seen them when they're outdoors.
There's probably going to be a motivator cuff issue with the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes.
Especially with that cold weather.
And so I do think in 2 weeks the Packers are going to be a huge story. They will have won 2 in a row. They'll be heading to Chicago, and it's like, oh, and then Chicago will beat them, and their season will be over. Because here's what we know about the Green Bay Packers this year. On the road, their defense is the Raiders. On the road, that defense, giving up 28 points per game. That's 3rd worst. Yards per game, 6th worst. Yards per play, 2nd worst. 3rd down percentage, 5th worst. Their defense does not travel. Aaron Rodgers, while he hasn't been peak Aaron Rodgers this year, his home road stats are almost identical. At home, a 101 rating, on the road, a 102. At home, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick. On the road, 11 touchdowns, no picks. He's been consistent where they've been. The difference has been the defense has been egregious on the road. That's not going to change.
How many wins do they have on the road?
0. I mean,
0.
And they still got 2 road games left. So even if 9-6-1 were to get them in, and I'm not certain it will, because I think there could be enough 10-win teams in the NFC, but it probably will get them in. I don't think they're getting there. I just don't. I think they will, over the next 2 weeks, convince us they can, and then they'll leave Lambeau, and they'll look like how they've looked outside of Lambeau all year.
These are some of the problems with Green Bay and why I believe that they won't go on a run this year with this group that they have. It's hard to play the style for which Aaron Rodgers wants to play and not get a lot of yards after the catch. We know they've been inconsistent as far as running the ball. Are they going to give Aaron Jones the ball? They have not shown in Aaron the last 8 years. They're going to run the ball in Green Bay. And when you have, as cold as it gets, when you don't have a running game, that is a problem. And besides Devontae Adams, where's Jimmy Graham? I mean, as a real threat coming from Seattle, oh, he's going to reemerge with Aaron Rodgers. No, he hadn't. So outside of the #1 wide receiver, and he doesn't get a lot of yards after the catch, this is hard to play this style of football. I've said Green Bay was always the best when they had guys like Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Jordy Nelson, and not just because they were good receivers, they got a tremendous amount of usage after the catch.
A healthy Randall Cobb.
You don't see it. And since he's been hurt, Randall Cobb, and when he's out out of that lineup and you take that slot receiver away from Aaron Rodgers, they're limited offensively. We know their defense is not going to win any game. So that's the reason why I believe that they don't have a run in them, even though I don't believe with Nick that they'll get to 6-6 then lose in Chicago. I believe Aaron Rodgers can even win that game to get them to 7-6-1. So Aaron will be talking about that. Hey, in the news cycle, okay, listen, you got to win football games, all right? And they haven't supported him enough. That's why the team now, late in November, they got 4 wins.
How surprising is this to you, Chris Kenny? At the beginning of the season, I don't think anyone thought the Packers would be here. I don't know if they thought they'd be, that much better than they were last year. But no one thought they'd be struggling right now to pick up, what, 6 wins, 7 wins, 8 wins? Yeah,
I didn't see this team coming into this season being as bad as they are. But the reality is, if you can't win on the road, you're probably not going to be a playoff team in the NFL. So, I mean, that's where the Packers as an organization are. But I think they made the financial commitment to Aaron Rodgers this offseason to give their new general manager some time to undo some of the things that Ted Thompson did, the previous general manager, and actually get some talent infused on this roster. It's not just going to be one offseason. So I think they recognize that. That's why they traded down in the first round this past year's draft. Got a great first-round draft pick in Jair Alexander.
Yeah.
He's balling this year.
And they got 2
and so they got 2 first-round picks next year. Of course, they've got the draft capital from the Ha-Ha Clinton-Dix trade. He'll have some ammunition to put the requisite talent around Aaron Rodgers to take advantage of having him for the next 4 seasons. So I think that's the biggest thing that you have to keep in mind with the Packers. It's not just about this season. It's about the next 4 to 5 seasons while you have Aaron Rodgers in his prime.
And over the next 4 to 5 seasons, you got to keep an eye on people in your division. We don't know what Patricia's going to do in Detroit. We don't know Detroit. They've been in a funk for a long, long time. But we know in Chicago, they mean business.
Yeah.
And if they get their quarterback situation, if Trubisky ends up being an above-average player, man, that is problems for Green Bay and for Green Bay fans. In Minnesota, I've talked to the Wilf family. I know Rick Spielman, the general manager. Man, they're all in. They got unbelievable facilities. They're going to participate in free agency, and they've done well as far as the drafting good young players and developing them. So not only that's what I would be concerned about. Not only you got to worry about your own roster, Khalil Mack, man, he's in his prime. Kirk Cousins is going to be there throwing the ball for the Vikings. So those are things I'd be concerned about if I'm a cheesehead.
Somewhere out there, John Gruden is still looking for a pass rusher. He's like, if only I could figure
Nicky
out.
Bosa, #1 pick of the draft.
All right, Chris, stick around. Coming up, can Dak Prescott actually beat Drew Brees? That's next.